Hi, this is Doug Whedon at thewalledgarden.net. You know, there's this, I don't think I'd call it a movement, but it's definitely an interest in whether the Earth is a globe or whether it's really flat in the process, you know. And when I came across this for the first time, I thought it was a spoof, actually. There's so many things going around in our culture, our global culture, that you never quite know where it's coming from until you dive in and take a look. Well, it started popping up here and there, and so I followed, the trail around and came to find out that there were actually sincere people who are interested in considering this subject of a flat Earth. Well, as I looked at it, I found that these people weren't necessarily interested. I mean, for the most part, I'm not talking about everybody, but for the most part, they weren't really interested in the scientific idea of the Earth being flat. It was actually a response to this realization that they've been lied to academically, that they've been lied to in the media, and that their lives have been thought-shaped and they've been conditioned, you see, by public relations agencies and universities, and the information put out by what they call the mainstream media. And so they feel like if they're being lied to, in their textbooks, if they're being lied to in their history books and science and so on, they take it all the way back to a place of saying, well, maybe the Earth is flat too. And so, it's not really about anything scientific, though that's a side issue for a lot of people. It's really about trust, and it's really about betrayal. The betrayal that's occurred, where you believe that someone who has been influential in your life actually were manipulating you and deceiving you deliberately with an agenda in their minds. And I think when any of us come to this realization that is happening in life and that is a reality, it becomes very emotional. It impacts us. We become passionate about it. We're first hurt, and then it's very easy to move into a cynical point of view and create this filter where you want to isolate yourself and no one else is safe around you. I remember, when I came to that, I didn't go to the flat Earth theory so much, but I remember that situation, and perhaps you do too. Maybe that's happened in your own life, and you have to somehow deal with that, Well, I think from a scientific point of view, and I'm no expert on this, I did take a couple of years in college. I took a couple of years of geology, and but still, I'm no expert on the flat Earth theory. I haven't got off the continental United States, so it could be just flat, for all I know, and dragons out there, on the edge. But if it really was important to you, if it was drastically important, that it would take your whole heart, and you were willing to set aside money over the course of a couple of years and set aside time, make arrangements so that your lifestyle had some time, you could go figure it out for yourself and satisfy yourself in the process. If we lived in Denver, for instance, we could say, well, what I'm going to do is take 3 months, 6 months off, and have enough money to pay my way and to survive on, and I can trace out the direction to go. And you can take airplanes for that matter. You can just start in Denver and go east and keep flying. and flying, and from one airport to another, and continue. And you just continue east till you come back to, you leave Denver, point A, and you go all the way east and come around to Denver, point A again. And you could say, well, I'm not really satisfied with the route I took. If this was flat, maybe I went in a circle. So you can decide, to take a different tangent. And you can do that multiple times. You can go around this, and trace out your own direction. And you can get your own pilot's license if you don't trust they're doing stuff, and you can do it on your own. And you can just decide, and you can keep doing it until you're satisfied. And you just keep coming back around, to I don't mean to use around to influence you on the flat earth, because you can still go around on a disc. That's not the problem. But you can still come around to Denver, and you can just keep doing that and keep doing that until you're satisfied with the results. That seems pretty straightforward to me if you had a real question on the matter. You got to take the time, then you got to put out the resources to do it, and have a wholehearted endeavor to find out the truth. Well, the problem is when you get back to Denver, even though you became satisfied, there's still people all surrounding you from the club who were debating this subject, and they didn't go do it. And they're still unsatisfied, but you've figured it out in your own head. You've put it out there, you followed it, you came to a conclusion, but that doesn't transfer into everybody else's life. All it does is deal with where you're coming from. And this is a spiritual thing. This has to do with the gospel too, Even though you have traced out this thing, you've gone and worked this thing out with a whole heart and adjusted your lifestyle, followed the breadcrumbs, followed the trails, followed the paths, and you've done it over and over and over, and you come back and you're satisfied, with the situation. Still, that does not transfer into anyone else's life. Basically, all that has done is settle in your own mind, settle in your own heart, settle in your own soul, who you can trust. And I really think that's the bottom line in all of this thing, because that's what set the flat earthers out on their quest, was on the basis of, well, we just can't trust anyone. And I've done this spiritually. I mean, I did this in early on when I was introduced to God, and I just wasn't quite sure about that, and so I did the Denver thing, and I did my own adjustments. I put myself to it. I did it in a wholehearted manner, and God did respond in that, and so I did come to a place of understanding who I can trust. I can identify with the flat earthers. I can't trust academia. I can't trust political positions. I can't trust public relations agencies. They're all trying to thought shape for their own manipulative ends, their own agendas. But God has a different thing going here. But even though I've gone from Denver to Denver and come to that conclusion, that does not translate into your life. You have to take that task on in your own mind, in your own heart, in your own soul, and put your efforts behind it. And it has to be a wholehearted effort, or you'll never be satisfied with the outcome. Because in the end, we have to know who we can trust. Well, I encourage you to step out of the world system, come up for air, and take a breath.